Good morning, magandang umaga. Welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Today is Friday, the last day of the week before the weekend, and we have a lot of things going on today. I have so many things to pick from today's topics. I just don't know where to start from, but I do want to start with showing you something. We have our maintenance crew this morning cutting our yard next door. This is our neighbor Corey's yard, and the maintenance folks over here doing the clipping. Now that's not our standard maintenance crew. That's actually, those goats are owned by the caretaker of the subdivision, and they kind of help keep down some of the height of some of the grass that's around here. So I'm glad to have them as our visitors and our maintenance crew this morning next door, because the grass is growing really quick. We normally have a paid maintenance crew that comes in and does all the clipping when the grass needs cutting. Anyway, today, like I said, there are many things that we need to accomplish. I have to sit there and do triage. I need to figure out what's the most important thing to get done this morning. So it could be kind of a eclectic type of a video for today, with all the different things that need to be done. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and get today's episode started. Now, without further delay, let's get today's video underway. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that I really need to work on today. Of course, this is ready to start planting. I think we're going to do that today. I'm not sure that I'm really going to talk about it that much on today's episode, because we saw this little island getting planted in the previous episode that I published. Now, the other things that I need to do is remember when we went to the nursery, Edgar's nursery in Rosario, we have a few plants that need to go in the ground, and these are important plants, and there's a decision-making matter that I have to do when it comes to these. Now, what I am specifically talking about are these mangosteens. I have 3 mangosteens here. Remember, we picked these up at Edgar's nursery the other day. So I have a really big one right here, and I have 2 smaller ones here as well. One of them needs to be planted, and looking around the yard, it's a big decision. I have a big decision I have to make, because really I have no more place, literally no more place to put plants. When I say no more, you'll see it's open now, but in 10 years from now, this entire landscape back here, this entire backyard is going to look so different. It's going to be so different. We are going to have trees. I mean, look at this mango. Remember this mango when we planted this one? This mango tree actually was probably about the size of this right here when we picked it up when we went to Tagaytay 2 years ago. So the dilemma for me is we have to find a place, and we have to have some sort of proper spacing, some logic to the spacing, so the trees don't run into each other. And they would, even the way we have them spaced right now, they would run into each other if we don't do aggressive pruning. We will always be in a maintenance function, but we'll have a lot of very nice producing citrus and fruit bearing trees here in the backyard. Now, this is the conclusion I came to. I told you I was going to take you one point and bring you around the yard and talk about the different varieties of fruit and citrus trees that we have in the backyard, and that'll be another day. But for today, I just want to point out a couple things. You see this is a cashew tree. It really shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there on the side of the house, but I plan on really doing an extremely aggressive pruning schedule for this cashew tree. I like it. It's growing so healthy right there. As a matter of fact, it needs to be topped. I will be topping that maybe even today in this section up here to continue the shaping. Remember, I said in an earlier video, I said how this part of the cashew tree was way out to here, to this post over here, and I cut it back. I will continue to prune this. It should not be this close to the side of the house. But again, I really like it there, and I think with an aggressive pruning schedule, we can have a really nice decorative and fruit producing in the form of cashews tree over here. Now cashew trees get really, really big, and I'm saying really big. This, by the way, this is an avocado tree here. It looks similar to the cashew, but the leaves are a little bit different. But I have a second cashew tree right here. And when we plant the mangosteen, I want to be able, the mangosteen actually gets very big too, the one we looked over there by the lemon trees. We need a pretty big area. The only spot in this entire yard that has a lot of space is where this cashew tree is right here. As much as I hate to do it, I think we might be moving the cashew tree to another location. It's already rooted really nice right here. It's filling in very nice. It's got a nice shape, and I hope we don't damage it, but I think we're at the state right now that we can actually transplant this somewhere else if we're real careful with the root ball here. And I think we'll put the mangosteen right here because it's going to grow big, and I really want to get the fruit off the mangosteen. It's a very special tree here in the Philippines. There's really no other place around here that I can figure. So I think that's the task for that. I think that I just have to figure out where the cashew tree needs to go to next. Cashew trees, by the way, they have a very odd shape when they grow. I guess if you prune them properly, you can probably get a good shape like I'm currently doing with both of these. But in the wild, like in Africa where they're natively found, the cashew trees, they grow really huge. As a matter of fact, they have cashew forests, yes, that's the word, cashew forests over in Africa that take up hectares and hectares and acres of property, and it looks like one tree, but it's so thick. But some of the limbs are actually quite curved and everything. Anyway, so I think that's the solution for where I can plant my mangosteen right here. I have two other small ones. I think what we'll do with the two other small ones, we'll put them in pots. I got to find some pots for them, and we'll see if we can't make potted mangosteens. We'll see how that works. But then the dilemma is, where does this go? Now, also on the list of things I need to do today inside the house, I need to replace a light fixture. Well, not a fixture so much. I have, you know, the LED light strips. It's like what we have around the rock wall that we have in the great room. It's what we used underneath the bar in the basement for the tiki bar. It's those strips. It'll be a strip of LED, and there's normally a power supply that's associated with the strip of LEDs. It's normally a DC power supply. Well, we installed at the very beginning of the end of the build of Villa Feliz for lighting, when we were installing the lighting, we installed several of the LED strips inside the house. One, again, was around the great room wall, the stone wall, and then the other one, another one we did was in the island, underneath the island, so it projects down where your legs are. And it's a very nice effect in the evening time. Well, that unit, even though I probably only have maybe 3 hours of time on it over the time that we've had inside the Villa Feliz here, it's failed. It's failed to operate, and I suspect that the DC power supply on that is bad. Now, we're going to talk about it if we use it for today's episode, once we triage what is the most important thing that we want to talk about today. But what we'll do is we'll discuss a little bit about some of the different types of LED strips that you can use for lighting, and we'll discuss some other details if you're interested in installing that type of lighting inside your house. And there's a couple more topics I need to work with you. I don't know if it's going to be in today's episode or if it's going to be in an upcoming episode. And that, again, is the comparison of the GoPro. We still haven't unboxed the GoPro 8 yet. I need to do that. And we're going to do a comparison from what we have here at Villa Feliz. We have the GoPro 5 through the GoPro 8. And this that you're watching me on right now is the GoPro 7, and I am having so many issues with this. You're probably missing several clips on several of the most recent episodes, because I've had freeze-ups, and I've had a problem where a new problem with the GoPro 7. This just started this week, where I'll be doing like we're doing right now. I'll be talking to you, the audio will be doing good, but it will be like freeze frame just like this, and you won't, the video freezes but the audio continues. So I'm just having so many problems with the GoPro 7. Hopefully they remedied that in the GoPro 8. We'll see. Let's see, I think there was one other thing. Oh, there is one more thing I want to talk about, and it's not going to be done today. It will be a upcoming episode, probably the very next episode, and it has to deal with the build over at Ainsley's build site. I want to talk with the builder David over there. We have a new video rendering. Remember, we saw the initial rendering, the little computer flyby video of what that house is going to look like, and then it evolved because both the builder and the homeowner made changes in the second one. Well, there have been even more changes, and I got to tell you, they're impressive. I want to share that with you. We talked a little bit about some of the changes in the last new homes build video that we did at that site when we spoke with the homeowner, Ainsley, and his wife Fem when we were there. But you're going to see it in 3D video on the next episode we do that. So that will be an exciting episode as well. So let me decide what I'm going to work on today. What's the first thing for the agenda? And then we'll get started. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So what I decided to do today, I'm taking a step back. It's starting to approach, it's about 10:30, but it's starting to get hot and humid outside. So I'm going to take advantage of the noontime highest heat point out inside the yard. I'm going to work here inside the house. Remember that topic we were going to speak about that had to do with LED lighting. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now here at Villa Fleas, we have several places in the house where we took advantage of LED lighting. We have LED lighting that goes around this stone wall here. I can turn it on with the light here. Wrong one. I always make the mistake. So you can see now it's lit up all the way around. You don't really appreciate the effect of the LED lighting during the daytime. Here, I'll turn it off where you can see. I'll turn it off and you'll see the difference. But in the evening time, it really gives very nice ambience to the great room area inside here. It's very soft, and when you're watching television in the evening time, it does a great job. Now, I don't know if you know it, but if you go on Lazada, you can find stripping that actually goes to the back. You can tape it to the back of your television, and it will project a nice halo effect around the back of your wall-mounted TV. It's something that we might consider later on when we're doing some upgrades, but for your information, I just wanted to pass that on right now. We also have down in the basement, let's take a quick walk down into the basement. Now down in the basement, we have a couple of the LED lighting set up inside here. Now, specifically it has to do with the tiki bar and the entertainment area. Now here's the tiki bar, and underneath, if you look underneath here, you'll see there's a thin strip that goes all the way down the bottom of the tiki bar. And we'll talk about how that's applied in just a moment. And it's as simple as just coming around and turning on the lights, and you see we have lighting. We have it underneath the bar, underneath the top of the bar, underneath the bottom of the bar, and a different color. I did green. And we'll also talk about your options that have to do with colors as well. Now also, I have integrated using our Alexa app, and I have to be careful. I saw Alexa just came on. So anyway, with that app, we can also turn on for the home theater area here at nighttime so that people don't trip going up into the elevated level. For the rear seating, we have lighting, LED lighting as well, but it's a little bit more subdued. So all I do is I mention to Alexa, Alexa, turn on theater lights. And you can see we have nice soft lighting. It's a LED strip that's built behind the wall, the little glass mosaic wall that you would normally do for backsplash, and it goes all the way around. Now we also have one more place that's integrated into the kitchen island here. What we have lights that are underneath the area here as well. These are a different style. These are in like a plastic tubing, and you use a different, it doesn't have adhesion underneath, but you can get the same plastic tubing to do the same thing. But our problem is when you turn it on here, it doesn't work anymore. It just barely comes on, which indicates to me that the DC power supply is bad. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to install and troubleshoot when you're doing troubleshooting, and where you might actually need to replace your LED lighting inside your house. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go and find some of the components. We'll talk about the components. Then we'll pull this one out and install it with the new one, a different style. So for all intents and purposes, what we are going to do today, we're going to do something called R&R, remove and replace. We are going to remove the bad LED lighting strip and the power supply underneath the island here this morning, and we're going to replace it with a new one, a different style. And these are the two components that we're going to need for today. I chose land light. This is very popular in a lot of the local big box stores here, like Wilcon, which is where we purchased this package here. And you'll see it'll tell you the model number, and it'll have some numbers inside here, and it'll have kind of a rating. This is for a 24 volt DC power supply. Remember I said we will be using, I suspect that the one that's underneath this island right now has a failed power supply, this is a power supply in here, but you'll see when we remove the one from the island right now, it's a different type of power supply. I like these a lot better, and I'll talk about it in just a moment. But you can see it has some numbers on here, and the number right here says 35 WW, which has to do with the wattage requirement, and you see the 24 here that has to do with the 24 volts DC. So the power supply that I selected from Wilcon is the power supply, and the model number here is the LRS 35-35-24. This is a 35 watt, which is the second set of numbers that are on here, and 24 is for the 24 volts DC that it's going to be using. Now, I was going to talk a little bit about why I like this configuration as opposed to the configuration we have now on the island itself. When you purchase your LED lighting, it's going to come in usually one of two different type of configurations. Your lighting strip, and your lighting strip will come, you can see on here, it can come in different colors, red, blue, green. It can come in different temperatures. They call them temperatures for your lighting. Basically, is it going to be very bright light like the sun, or is it going to be very warm like maybe some of your lamps that you have inside your house? And that's what these ratings are right here, daylight, cool, and warm. Where warm white might be like 2600K or maybe 3000K, and where the daylight might be something like 5500 or 6000. The higher the K rating that's on it, like you'll see right here, 26 to 2900K, the higher the K rating, the more you're going towards the feeling of sunlight, very, very, very bright. And you can also get this in weatherproof and non-weatherproof. So for our purpose inside here, it's inside the house. I chose non-weatherproof, warm white, and it's not a colored lighting system that you have over here. Now, I also want to talk about power supplies. This power supply right here, the reason I like this configuration, if for some reason your power supply dies, which is what we have on this underneath the island right now, this power supply has an integrated power supply. It's a small, you'll see when we remove it, it's a small round part of the wire system. So it plugs into the wall, the wire goes to a small round device, which is the power supply, which is all molded together, and then it goes to the lighting. So when your power supply fails, your DC power supply, you have to replace the entire light, the entire power supply light, because it's all integrated. Here, if you have a failure of this system right here, most of the time your LED lights are going to be good. There's going to be no problem. So all you have to do is replace this power supply. It's a in and out job real quickly. You don't have to remove your existing lights, and it saves time and it saves money. So let's go ahead and look at what we see on the back of the power supply. You have a line, a neutral, a ground. That is the power coming from your house. Your house normally has a line, neutral, and ground. Line is the hot side, your hot wire, and your electricity. You normally have 2 or 3 wires coming in from a plug. If you have a grounded system, then you will have that 3rd wire, which is the ground. But the first one is the hot wire, the second one is the neutral or the return, which is usually a white wire. and then you have the ground, which is normally a green or green yellow wire. Then you have a voltage with a minus sign, minus voltage, and a plus voltage. This is your DC output. This is your 24-volt DC that's coming out that's going to apply power to the strip, and we'll show you how that's hooked up later. And it's as simple as that. There's an adjustment on here. If you have a multimeter, if you suspect that you don't have a good voltage coming out, you can always do some troubleshooting, and you can increase. This is a potentiometer for those of you who do electronics, and it basically increases the amount of voltage that's going to be on these two taps right here, or decrease it. And the optimum amount that you want out here is a stable 24 volts coming out, connecting to the two wires for this right here. Okay, so enough about that and why I like this system better. Let's go ahead and remove the bad system and replace it with this system here. Now I just want you to see, I have these are attached to the bottom of the island with these little screws and these little clips underneath here. What we're going to do later on, the new one actually is going to have an adhesive strip, makes it very easy for installation. And this little piece right here, this little device, is that DC power supply that I was talking to you about earlier. You see it's integrated into the wire. Although you can take it apart right here, when you purchase this, you don't purchase usually the DC power supply and the lighting. You possibly can if you can find a vendor that will sell it to you like that, but normally when you go to the big box stores, they will only sell you one complete package here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove all this. I have to go inside, underneath the grill up on the top, go inside, unplug it, remove this, and then we'll install the new one. Okay, so now I've removed the old LED strip. I still have to remove the other clips. I just pulled off one side to screw out of one side to be able to pull it out, but I'll remove all of these so it's nice and clean. And this is the strip that was installed. Now this is the weatherproof type. This is what we were talking about. We have a inside and an outside. You can actually use this for the outside. Say if you wanted to wrap it around a tree for decorations at Christmas time or for ambience outside. And this is the power supply right here. Now the power supply, it will come, you can disconnect it just like this right here. I'm not a big fan of these type of connectors where these two little pins here just go on the little wires inside the strip inside there. I've never been a fan of that. I checked it, that wasn't the problem. I did a voltage check on here, and it's definitely the DC power supply. Okay, so the next thing is I had to remove, one of the biggest challenges is getting to where you want to install this. Well, I had to remove all of the drawers here in the kitchen for the pots and the pans and plates and cups and stuff like that. So here are the two drawers. And this I will tell you right now, probably the most important step for all of you DIY guys out there. The most important step is this right here. When you remove all of your plates and cups and everything from your wife's kitchen, put them in order, because you're going to have to put them right back in the same order. One of the worst things you can do is to put something incorrectly back into a drawer, because you will feel the wrath of your wife later on. Okay, so we are beyond that. Everything is in order. I'll be able to put everything back. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to do the wiring for the power supply, run the wire to the outside so that we can go ahead and install our new lighting. All right, so now that we have the power supply installed, hooked up to the switch, let's go ahead and check. Before we install the lights, before we run the lights with the adhesive tape, let's go ahead and do a functional check. And it looks like it works fine. So now we can go ahead and run the LED lighting using the adhesive on the back of the LED lighting itself to the island. Now when you get to the end, we're going to stop right here. When we get to the end, we're going to have to cut this. Always make sure that you purchased a roll that's adequate for the amount of space that you're going to need. It's actually better to have a little bit more than less that you need and come up short. Now you will see on here, there's a little section here that has two copper pieces, and you'll see a little line. So that's your cutting point. You just take scissors, you cut through right there, and that's the end. You don't want to cut anywhere else inside your line, only at these. And they're spaced out about every 5 or 6 inches, so it makes it easy for you to get an accurate installation of your LED lighting. You can actually even include these or attach another set. If you run out and you need to attach another set, they have kits where you can use a clip and they will connect to these points. These are actually your conductors on your LED strip, so you can make an extension. All right, well, it looks like the install is complete. Let's do a quick check before we clean everything up. Okay, well, that is one more thing off the James bucket list, or should I say the honeydew list that needs to get done here around the house. Glad I got that done. I hope I put everything back in the right place in those drawers inside there. All the pots and the pans and the plates. So if you don't hear from me for a few days, you know I'm feeling the wrath of the PTSD. When I say PTSD, I mean post-traumatic spouse disorder. I think I'll be okay. I think I got everything back in the right place. Well, anyway, the skies are really, if you look over my shoulder, we got some dark clouds up here. I hope we get some rain this evening. The rain has been really helpful with all this new stuff that I put down in the yard, all the different plants and the trees. I still have enough time left today. I think instead of messing with moving the trees around, I think I'm going to do a little bit inside the garden over here. Try to knock a few items out. Those are easy things, and it's nice and cool right now. It feels really good, but I kind of feel little pieces of sprinkle coming down. So I think the rain is very short behind. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Now, something I didn't mention for all you DIY folks out there, no matter who you are, if you are not comfortable with doing anything that has to do with electrical, please call in somebody who's qualified. You always want to have safety in mind first. It's a very simple technique. As a matter of fact, everything you buy comes from the store. You can get it from your local hardware store like Ace, or you can get it from the big box stores. And there is a very low level of technical knowledge that you need, but anything that has to do with electricity, you always want to be careful. Make sure you get everything installed properly. Again, that's about it for today. We have an upcoming episode. Remember I said earlier this morning that we will be going over to the build site down on Ainsley and Fem's house down there, and hopefully I can catch the builder in, David, and we can sit down and we can look at that really neat 3D CAD movie of all the new improvements. We'll get that. I promise you we'll get that in very soon in an upcoming episode. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please share, and if you have not subscribed, just click on that little MPID dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. You'll be subscribed and notified the next time I upload a new video. So until such time, from here in the Philippines, you have a wonderful and blessed day. If you enjoyed today's episode and you would like to see more just like these, just click on one of the helpful links over to your right and you might be able to pick up on some good information on DIY projects, how to, or if you are interested in moving to the Philippines and building, you'll find answers there as well.